Students, now we'll go for the next half of your module 5, that is your timer. So basically we'll see what is the what are the features of your 555 IC timer and the internal architecture of your 555 timer. So here your 555 timer, we say that it can be got as a monolithic timing circuit which can be used to produce accurately and high stable time delays there or oscillations. So here a 555 timer can produce accurate and highly stable time delays or oscillations there. So mainly a 555 timer is going to operate in two modes. One is a monostable. So mono means a single. So we say that one shot multivibrator. Mono is a one stable state. So that means that it is a one shot multivibrator there. A stable. So here in this case, you are not going to have any stable states. Continuously our output will be changing from high, low, low, high, like that. Continuously it will be changing. So we call that state to be, the other name as free running multivibrator. So basically your 555 timer is going to is available as a 18-pin metal can package or an 8-pin mini dual inline package or a 14-pin dual inline package there. The operating temperature is going to range from -55 degrees to +125 degrees centigrade there. For SE 555 and NE 555, it is going to operate over a temperature range from 0 to +70 degrees centigrade. So a 555 timer can operate from voltage range from +5 volts to maximum of +18 volts. So here we are going to use only a single voltage, that is a positive voltage, and that positive voltage is going to be from +5 volts to +18 volts. So the output can be varied, that is the time period can be varied there. So here we are going to have an adjustable duty cycle. So the duty cycle is going to vary from microseconds through hours. And here your 555 timer is going to have a high current output where it can source or sink to 200 milliamperes. The output can drive your TTL. So here in this case, the output of your 555 timer can drive your TTL circuits, and it is going to have a temperature stability of 50 parts per million per degree centigrade. When an external trigger pulse is going to be applied, the output is going to be forced to go to the high state, that is to the plus VCC. The time the output remains high is going to be determined by the external RC core network that is going to be connected to the timer. So based on the resistor and capacitor what we are going to connect to the circuit, it is going to decide the time period of the output waveform where the output is going to remain high. So at the end of this timing interval, automatically the output will come to the low state, and we say that it is going to be available as a logically low stable state there. So the output is going to stay low until the trigger pulse is going to be again applied. Then a cycle will repeat. It is going to have only one stable state. So one stable state means your output is going to be low. The 555 timer is going to be easy to use, and it is going to be of a low cost. This is the internal block diagram. So this is the internal layout of your 555 timer. So here this is an 8-pin IC. In your 8-pin IC, we are going to have your pin number 1 as your ground, pin number 2 as your trigger, that is an external trigger pulse. If I want to give, I can give it to this pin number 2. Third is your output pin. Fourth is your reset. So when I want my output is going to be, output of a 555 timer is going to be high, I want to reset the 555 timer. In that case, I can use this reset pin. Next is control voltage. So if I want to vary the control voltage, that is the threshold voltage, then I can give an additional voltage there, your control voltage there. Next is, this is your threshold. So threshold is the maximum limits what I am going to keep for my comparator. So that is the threshold level voltage is going to be maintained. Your discharge transistor is, when I want to reset my 555 timer, the voltage that is going to be stored should be discharged. So that discharge path is going to be taken through a discharge transistor. And next is your +5 plus VCC supply there. So plus VCC supply is, the VCC can be from +5 volts to +18 volts. So this is your internal diagram of your 555 timer, which is going to consist of 3 resistors. Here each is going to be of 5 kilo ohms there. So here this is your NPN transistor, is nothing but a discharge transistor, and these are your comparators. So in your comparators you are going to have your threshold voltage here. So to calculate the threshold voltage, we will see how we are going to calculate the threshold voltage there. So here your plus the plus your comparators, your non-inverting terminal to one non-inverting terminal I am going to give the threshold voltage, and to the other non-inverting terminal the other threshold voltage will be given there. And pin number here, in this case the inverting terminal will be given the trigger voltage, and this inverting terminal will be given a threshold voltage to be given there. So in that case, if I want to change this cutoff, the threshold level, in that case I can give your control voltage can be added to this threshold voltage there. This particular point to the inverting terminal of your comparator. The output of the comparator will be given to a flip-flop, where the flip-flop we are going to use is going to be an SR flip-flop there. So based on this R flip-flop, we are going to have the Q bar output to be taken there. So this Q bar output will be given to an output driver, where this output driver is basically nothing but an inverter that will be given to the output pin. So we will see the individual components separately there. So here first is your voltage divider network. So in a voltage divider network, you are going to have, this is your plus VCC 5 volts, and we are going to have 3 resistors. So this resistor is going to be the voltage at these points. I am going to take the voltages at these 2 points. So if I am going to take the voltage at these 2 points, first I should find out what is the voltage at this point. To find out the voltage at this point, I can apply my voltage divider rule. So what is the voltage divider rule? Total voltage. So total voltage, so I will take this point to be your VB, because it is to your comparator B. So here in this case, your VB voltage is nothing but your total voltage. Your total voltage is plus VCC into the across this resistance is going to be your R1 divided by your total resistance. So total resistance is nothing but all the resistance are going to be same. That is, I can write it as R1 by 3. So it is nothing but VCC by 3. That is why we have the comparator B. We can see that the voltage at this point is going to be VCC by 3. So VCC is nothing but 5 volts, means 5 divided by 3. So 5 divided by 3 is, so here 1. So here in this case it is going to be 1.67. So that is the voltage they are given here, 1.67 volts there. And next is to find the voltage at this point. That is nothing but your VA voltage. So VA voltage, to find the VA voltage is nothing but the drop across these 2 resistors. So in this case these 2 resistors we are going to take, that is nothing but 2R1. So we can write it as VA into your total resistance is nothing but 2R divided by a total resistance is going to be 3R. So that means that it is your VA is nothing, VA is equivalent to your total voltage is VCC into 2R divided by total resistance is 3R. So that means that your VCC into 2 by 3. So the threshold voltage at this point is 2 by 3 VCC. So to a comparator A, I am going to have 2 by 3 VCC. So you can see that this is your negative voltage of the comparator. This is going to be the positive voltage of your comparator. So here this is how your resistor divider network is going to generate the voltage there. So in this case I don't want to have 2 by 3 VCC. The cutoff voltage at this point is 2 by 3 VCC. I don't want to have this 2 by 3 VCC. I want to change this 2 by 3 VCC, means I can give the control voltage from here and I can add this voltage to this point so that my voltage can be increased there. So here this is that is the function of your control voltage there. So this is how your threshold voltages for the comparators are going to be designed. Next is voltage comparator. So voltage comparator, basically we have 2 voltage comparators inside the 555 timer. So in this case you know that this is your 3.33. So here I can have this voltage to be, if I am going to take your voltage at this point is going to be here your V1. Okay, the voltage at this point is going to be V2. So the output of this comparator, always you know that your voltage at your non-inverting terminal V1 minus the voltage at the inverting terminal V2. So if I am going to take this as V3 and this as your V4. So output is the voltage at the non-inverting terminal is going to be V3 minus voltage at the inverting terminal, that is V4. So it is V1 minus V2. So in this case, if my V1 voltage is going to be higher, that means that my output voltage of this comparator, your output voltage of the comparator, if V1 is going to be high, then automatically VA is also going to be high, that is positive. In this case, if my V3 is going to be low, then automatically my VB is going to be low there. If my V3 is going to be a lower voltage, then automatically my VB voltage will also be 0. That means it will be 0 here, this will be 1 here. Okay. So here we are going to use two voltage comparators are going to be used inside the 555 IC timer. When the voltage is going to be higher at the positive input terminal, at the non-inverting terminal, the output voltage is also going to be positive. The output is going to be 0 under all other conditions. That is, when my input voltage is going to be less, my output is negative. Negative means it is going to be 0. That means my R output will be 0. If R is 0, it is reset. Reset means it is going to be 0 there. That is how your comparator is going to operate here. Next is RS flip-flop. So RS flip-flop is whenever the output of the comparator is going to be a positive voltage, you know the truth table of your SR flip-flop. So your SR flip-flop, this is going to be your Q, this is your Q bar. So when 0, 0 means it is going to be the previous state there. So 0, 1 means when S is 0, Q is 0, Q bar is going to be 1. When S is 1, in this case Q is 1, Q bar is 0. So 1, 1 means it is going to be your forbidden state. So here this condition we will not consider, only the remaining conditions we will take. So in this RS flip-flop, if R is going to be 1, that means that if R is going to be 1, my Q bar is going to be 1. So when my Q bar is going to be 1, then automatically this discharge transistor will be conducting. If this discharge transistor conducts, it will be acting like a closed switch. So whatever is going to be the charge that is going to be generated across this capacitance, that will be starting to discharge and it will come and go to the ground terminal there. So that means that my output will come to the low state. So this is 1 means this is a buffer, so I am going to have my output to be in the high state. So we say that whenever the output of the comparator A is going to be high, a positive voltage, the Q bar output is going to be high. That means it becomes a positive voltage, which is going to be called as a logic high. So my output is going to be in the high state. Okay, so this is how your RS flip-flop is going to operate. The basic concepts of your RS flip-flop. Next is your discharge transistor, NPN transistor there. So here we are going to use an NPN transistor. So when this Q bar is going to be 1, your base terminal is going to be 1. That means your base emitter is going to be forward biased. When base emitter is going to be forward biased, this transistor is going to conduct. So if this transistor conduct, it will act like a closed switch. If it acts like a closed switch, the volt, that is the capacitor, will be connected to this discharge transistor. Whatever voltage was generated across this capacitance, all this charge will get discharged through this transistor to the ground terminal there. So as a result, what will happen? Your voltage will start decreasing. So at one stage, your output voltage will become 0. So here we will see that the output voltage becomes 0. We say that the NPN transistor will act like a switch. So it turns on and it is going to pass between the current between the emitter and the collector when a positive voltage is going to be present. When a positive voltage is present, this base emitter is going to be forward biased. That means the transistor is going to be in the on state and it will act like a closed switch, and whatever charge is going to be present, it will start discharging through this transistor there. So that is why the name discharge transistor. So next is your output buffer. So output buffer is nothing but it is going to produce a high current or a voltage there, which is going to produce a sufficient output to the power the external circuitry there. So here in this case it is going to act like an inverter. So the output buffer is going to receive its input from the Q bar output of the RS flip-flop. So this buffer output voltage goes positive when the Q bar terminal of the RS flip-flop is going to be a logic low. That means that this is going to act like an inverter. So here we say that the output of the buffer approaches 0 volts when the logic high is going to be produced at the Q bar output. Just the inversion operation is going to take place at the output buffer there. This is the internal block diagram of your 555 timer.